Okay, well, it is February 6th, and I'm doing this very late. I apologize for not updating anything in the last couple of weeks. I've run into some hard life problems. So I'm going to do a wrap up for January, and then after that, there'll be a video for some unboxing as well as setting up for February. So I figured we just jump right in and look to see how the month went. I'm going to start with my reading tracker. Now, I will admit that I kind of fell off on the 19th, but I did read. It'll be very evident that I did read. We also filled in some here for the book club schedule. Here is The Dark City Omega by Elizabeth Stevens. I haven't actually read it yet. Probably Smut Book Club sent it out fairly late because of some issues with the printing. So that'll be the unboxing. I will read it because it is kind of right up my alley. As you know, here at the Pretty Little Death, we do kind of dabble in the dark aspect of the smut slash romance genre. But as you can see, we already got the notification of what the February book is, and it's actually supposed to be here fairly soon. So it's going to be Damaged Goods by uh, LJ Shen, I believe it is. Yeah, that's going to be here in yellow. But there has been a development. Me and the bestie have decided that we're going to start our own little book read along. So we both picked a book. You can read with us. We're going to have a discussion on the 24th of February. I already read one of them. It was very good. I'm going to keep my comments to myself, though, about the book because it will be discussing it. It was really good. So she picked Pestilence by Laura Thalissa, and then I picked Bewitching Her Monsters by Yves Vale. Like I said, there's going to be a discussion. You guys are welcome to join us on that. We're not sure it's going to be a live or a recording, but we will be talking about our picks and what we thought of them. So let's get right into our January review. I did read, as you can see here, almost every single day. I don't think there was a day that I didn't read. I was able to keep up on that fairly well. There were quite a few books that I was able to get through in a day. During the weekdays, I read probably less than I do the weekends just because, work and life. We came to the close of the month with a total of 7,465 pages read. And that's with taking into account, sorry about that, I have cats running around wanting attention. Taking into account that there were two not did not finish books. As you can see here, they're crossed out, number 10 and number 24. I read a total of 25 books. I did count the ones I did not finish because I did put time into them. All right. So, our very first book was Heartless Heathens. I believe I did do a review on that. Mother of Shadows, also did a review on that one. Here I have our third book, I'm sorry, was White Horse Black Knights. It was a very good read. I gave it a total of 4 stars using the CAWPILE rubric. I gave it 1 in the quantity of spice, meaning that, let's pull out our little cheat sheet here, meaning that there was probably 1 or 2 scenes in that one. It was towards the end, but the quality of that spice, we got 4 little, you know, little deaths in that one. My comments were that it was a very good romantasy, very much looking forward to the next one. It is White Horse, Black Knights. It is a series by Evie Marceau. I have it in book form. It was a fantasy, 405 pages long. Took me about 8 hours to get through. The next one was Bend Her. That is also a series by Cassie Alexander. I have it in book form. It was a fantasy, 364 pages. Took me about 8 hours. Really enjoyed the world building in this one and the angst between the two main characters, the female and the male. It was a very interesting read. I'm very, very much interested in how the story turns out. It is not a smut, though. It is definitely a romance. 4 stars out of that. We have 1 star in spice because there were not that many scenes, but the quality was fairly good. I read that between the 8th and the 10th. Here's our call pile a rubric with an average rating of 7.14. Next, we have Manacled. Okay, this one was a recommend from the best friend. Oh my gosh. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It is called Manacled. It is not a series. It is by Sin Lin Yu. I have it in PDF and audiobook format. I was given a copy of the PDF to read on my Kindle, but while I was at work, because I couldn't put it down, I listened to it via audiobook. You can find it on YouTube as well as Spotify. That's where I was able to find it. It is a fanfic, though. Um, I don't like giving spoilers away on this channel. I don't care about spoilers, but other people do. So I will say this. It is a fanfic of Harry Potter and The Handmaid's Tale. It's very good. It took me 21 hours to get through this. And that was with listening on 1.5 speed on the audiobook version. I said this in my notes. Wow, I wish this was the ending we got within the canonical works. If the reasoning behind Draco's involvement had been used along these lines, he would have been a much stronger character. We'll need a fluffy break afterwards. And I did. I finished reading it in the early evening, and I dove right into Ironheart here. It did not take me very long to read this at all. Actually, I didn't finish. I think I finished this mid-afternoon because it took me 5 hours to get through Ironheart. Again, these are all approximations. I don't actually look at the clock when I read. I just kind of dive in and then guesstimate afterwards. This is Ironheart. It is a series by Alyssa Thorne. It is on a Kindle Unlimited. It is an urban fantasy, 268 pages long. Took me about 5 hours. This was very fluffy. It's a very quick read, very fluffy, not much substance. Like, there could have been so much more done with this book. And maybe it's going to be extrapolated upon in the next series, the next entry in the series, but I'm not going to read it. Here's my call pile score. It got an average rating of 5. Now, I know what some people are saying, like, well, aren't these kind of these scorings subjective? Yes, I am looking for certain things when I read, and not everything has the ability to live up to that. So I do try to rate based on how, as a writer and as a proofreader, how I expected, or any plot holes or anything like that fell into it. So whereas Manacle rated probably among my highest so far, this is actually middle ground. If you're looking for a fluffy read, not very dark, this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for extremely dark, you want this one. This one was very, very good. To follow that up, I have Sick Boys here. It is a series by Calissa Wilde. It is on Kindle KU. It is a contemporary bully. I don't usually go for contemporary bullies, but like, I like dark stuff, so it tends to happen, and I'm gonna give everything a fair shot. But I will say, this one is smut. This is, oh my gosh, is this smut. I loved the characters, but they didn't really develop, more like fell apart towards the end. The scenes, though, were hot. This is dark, but the logic behind the crux is very flawed and needed to be worked out better. It also got 4 stars. It rated a 7, whereas Manacle rated an 8.43. So, I mean, they are in the same star category, but these are two wildly different pieces of literature, and I do recommend both of these. But I mean, if you're looking for extremely dark, you're going to go here. If you're looking for dark, yeah, go here. But just remember that your characters aren't going to develop too well. Devoted was after that. This is a series. It's by Luna Mason. It's on KU. It's Dark Mafia at 656 pages. Took me about 6 hours. The time jumps in the beginning are disorientating. it doesn't really like stand when you're looking for something dark. This I thought was going to be a lot darker than it was. Um, but it just like there are some things that just kind of fall through logically when you're reading it. So the time jumps are disorienting. He kidnaps her but hasn't made any demands from her father, been gone for days and no one's noticed. It's a very young adult insta love type thing. At page 181, it had to been bad if I made this note. At page 21, 30% ready to DNF. I didn't. It was recommended through TikTok, and the scene that got my interest was in it, but it felt like a bait and switch. Like I had high hopes for this one, and it just didn't pan out. It got 2 stars, 2 stars for spice, and when the spicy scenes did come up, they did kind of give us that little death that we were hoping for, but it could have been so much better. Our average rating for this one was 4.14. After that, we have No One Has to Know. It was not a series. It's by Karen Hart. It's on Kindle. I'm not sure if this one is a KU. I'm going to try and do that going forward in February, marking whether or not something is a KU. A lot of the stuff that I read was either gifted to me or it was purchased through Stuff Your Kindle Day, which is a day that, anybody who uses a Kindle should be aware of. Stuff Your Kindle Day. They have lots of books for free. You can buy them. You're not borrowing them through KU. They are yours. This was one of them. No One Has to Know. It is a contemporary dark. It was 218 pages long. I personally like books longer, 300 plus. But when you get a free book, you get a free book. Like, you can't really say anything about that. It's a free book. It's awesome. It took me about 5 hours. It had so much potential, this book. The ending was vastly disappointing, and the female main character irritated me. Oh my gosh, did she irritate me? This one got a rating of an average rating of 4.71, 3 stars, and the scenes were pretty good. But again, it had a lot of potential and just didn't meet up. So we're about halfway through January at this point. The next one was Wolf's Midlife Secret Child. It is a series. It's by Meg Ripley. It's on Kindle. It's a shifter book, 252 pages. I read it for 2 hours. I stopped at 46% on my Kindle. It was incredibly surfaced. A great idea that needed to be polished way more times than it was presently polished. It needed a good editor. There were so many things that needed to be worked over. I remember this book because I didn't finish this book. I don't really remember much else other than everything was, like I said, incredibly surface. It was disappointing. Like, I was hoping for something else. Don't know what I was hoping for, but this did not pan out. Back to what we did like. Oh my gosh, Black and Silver. I recommended this book probably 2 chapters into the bestie. I don't think it's a series. I don't have it marked as a series. I might have just forgotten to do that. It's by Gwendolyn Harper. It is on Kindle. It's a contemporary supernatural, 526 pages. It took me 8 hours. I could not put this one down. Oh my gosh. It was a very nice change of subject. I love a good pleasure dom and a full-figured main character. The smut is good without being tedious. Anybody who's read a lot of smut knows exactly what I'm saying. Like, just at some point, you're just like, get me through the scene. It's the same old, same old. This was not that. I gave it 4 stars with an average rating of 7.57. Again, this is going to go right up there with Sick Boys and Manacled in some of the better reads that I've had this month. Our next is going to be Alpha. It is a series by Nora Nash. I listened to this on Spotify. It is an Omegaverse, 244 pages long if you're going to read it. It took me about 5 hours to get through. Again, I'm listening to it on a quicker speed. If you can't do that, that's fine. This is the average time run per Spotify is 5 hours. It's a very surface story, very quick. Listen to it on 1.5 speed. Smut is not as good as it could be expected for the genre. I was hoping for more, but it's obvious it wasn't written it was obvious that it was written as a short story, that then it thought it could be a book. It got two stars there. And like I said, the scenes were not that great. It had a lot of potential. It averaged 2.75. I did follow up that book though, because I did want to know how it ended. Like the story aspect of that was actually pretty good. I think I even marked that. It was kind of middling. I thought it could be better. Let's just put it that way. Feral though, the follow-up book, did much better. Much, much better. Again, it is part of the series, Nora Nash audiobook. I also listened to this on Spotify. It was 298 pages long if you're going to read it, and the Spotify listening time is 8 hours 35 minutes. Again, I sped that up, so it was probably less than that, probably about 6 hours, maybe 5. This was much better than the first. The story was much more thought out, and it's gripping. Apparently, both were a set of novellas. So skip the first and go straight here. Yeah, you can totally do that in this one. This one was so much better. When I looked into it, the first was 3 novellas. This was 3 novellas. Honestly, they should have just been one book. To be frank, this was so much better. That goes on to Broken Princess. I did not put in my stars or my spice or my average on this one. I apologize about that. This was actually very good. I liked this one. As you can see here by my CAWPAW score, I just, like I said, didn't average it out. Princess Broken, I'm sorry. It is a series by Mara Lee. It's on Kindle. It's a contemporary vampire story. 309 pages. It took me 8 hours to get through. And I think that's just because I was listening to these ones as well, and I was kind of going back and forth. I'm very much looking forward to the next one. The idea behind the characters are awesome, but I'm not sure how they really connect to the very first chapter. I'm hoping that will be explained more in the next one, but I would have hoped that after 300 pages we'd have some kind of correlation. That's not really a big gripe, though. I have faith that this is going to be completed and in a satisfactory way. Next, we have Dark Kings. It is a series by S.E. Taylor. It's a Kindle as well. Contemporary, 263 pages. It took me about 4 hours. It is an instant love kind of story. It started out great, but then got bad very quickly. The character development was an idea that just didn't make sense to the author. I can't even tell you what this was about now, because I don't remember. There was just nothing there. I gave it 2 stars there, and 2 little deaths. It had an average rating of 2.86. So, I mean, I think it was trying to be dark, had potential to be dark, and then it just didn't work out that way. We have next Fleeing Fate. It is a series by Sabrina Day. It's on Kindle. It's also an Omegaverse. 415 pages, 8 hours. It was an interesting take on a common dystopian future. The writing was fine, and I pre-ordered the next entry in the series. I don't normally do that, to be honest. This is just a really, really interesting take on this story, and I loved it. It got an average of 6.29. That's 3 stars there, where there's not a lot of spice in this first entry, even though it is an Omegaverse. But what spice was there was pretty good, about average so far. Next, we have Double Bosses. This was fluff. This was fluff, not dark at all. It's not a series by Parker Gray. It's on Kindle. It's a contemporary romance. It's an office romance. It's even short. It's very short. I'm surprised it took me as long as it did, but when I think about what it was, now that I'm refreshing myself on it, it really wasn't, it was probably hard for me to get through, which is why at 172 pages, it took me 3 hours to get through. It just was something I was oh, I gotta finish this kind of stuff. Very fluffy and quick. Do not recommend. That, if I am putting that in there, in writing, that says something. Characters are very surface, and the smutty part is very basic. Both main male characters call her by the same nickname, and there aren't any traits to separate them. Like, it could have just been one person, one male main character. The Unlikely Omega, Hunted Fae #1. This is a series. It's by Mona Black. I have it in book form. It is an Omega verse. I think you're seeing a trend with my read style. 222 pages. Took me 4 hours. It's a very cool premise. The characters are fairly thought about, and the plot leaves a yearning. I want to know why there isn't more to the story, though. Like, this first entry, you don't get very far. It could have been developed more, I think. I did go on to read the rest of the series, as you'll see here. Unlikely Alphas, it is part of the same series by Mona Black. I read this one on Kindle. See, this one was gifted to me. This one I got on Kindle. I think I actually purchased these. That's the worst part. A lot happened by not a lot happening at the same time. It should have been combined with the first book. And I stand by that. These two should have been the same book. This one got 7, an average 7. The first entry got an average 7, because the atmosphere, the world building was really good in that. And as you'll see, it just kind of starts petering off. So this one got an average of 5.29. Unlikely Bonds, it's part of the same series, Mona Black. Kindle, it's a Megaverse. This is actually one of the longer entries in this series, 296 pages. Again, took me 5 hours. It was a lot of filler with nothing really connecting the plot. So, what I mean by that is they do a lot of stuff, but the initial plot that was introduced in the first book, it doesn't really pan out in this one. All that happens is they're just continuing to trying to escape whatever it is that they're, again, trying not to give spoilers, trying to escape the fate that is coming after them. The last one in this series was Unlikely Love. It was 222 pages long, and it was very disappointing. The whole prophecy was a red herring. Like, if you read this, and you'll see what I mean. Like, it's just it's a thing. It was very disappointing. Yeah. Can't believe I wasted money on this series. Let me put it that way. Like, I was hoping at the end we'd get a big payoff, and it didn't. So next we have Pray Tell. It is a series by Amanda Richardson. I read it on Kindle. It's a contemporary BDSM. I heard about this book through the book club. So if you're part of the PS book club, then you have access to an app where we all get to discuss things. And there is a room in this app that is for not safe for work art from books that we read. Like, you can order prints from the author's websites for some of these books, and one of the prints for this one was there. Yeah, I totally got a book based on, what an artwork looked like, because usually the artwork is taken from somewhere in the story. Thought there would be more grit to this. This had great potential to be darker because of the genre that it is. It's good, but it could have been darker and rougher. Like, someone who knows about the lifestyle, like, this would be very vanilla for them. There are aspects that are very enjoyable about it, but it's not what I was hoping it to be. So next is our second DNF of the month, Bite Me. It is a series by Addie Award. I have it on Kindle. It's a fated mate type book, 250 pages. I got 2 hours in. At 75%, I did not finish. Not worth it. Started out very interesting and then turned into a CW tween romance. This is our first 1 star of the year. one star, one little death. I think there was one scene that was like maybe clench worthy. Plot, logic, all of it, like the intrigue, all of it was just it. I think the problem with this one is because it is part of a larger series. They just kind of drop you in the middle of this thing, and you're just supposed to like catch on. Like if I think that if you're gonna have a series where multiple main characters, multiple male main characters in this huge universe, um, like there should be a little bit of exposition on what's going on without it being like everybody who's come before being real lovey-dovey in your face kind of thing. And this one was just, it was just not good. It was not good. To follow that up, though, I went into Dragon Guard Warrior. It is a series by Alicia Montgomery. It's on Kindle. Fated Mate is the genre. It's only 159 pages long, which I did not realize until I was filling this out. It took me 2 hours to get through. This is a very interesting story, but the intrigue didn't resolve itself in this volume. I probably will not continue with the series because I know I've mentioned this before. I like series that continue on with the set of characters that I was introduced into. I don't like going from one book and having to fall in love with characters just to kind of see them in glimpses in a larger story later. Like I just kind of want to continue their story. But it was good. It got an average of 5.83, 3 stars, 2 on Spice. There weren't a lot of scenes. And those scenes are actually very quick. It's kind of fluffy. It's not really dark, but it is good. It is good. And then the last one, which actually didn't happen, I think. Yeah, this one, I wrote this one in. This actually happened before this one. But, you know, it happens. What happened is I printed out all of my pictures and got ready to do fill in everything that I had missed, and missed this one, which was kind of sad because this one wasn't too bad. This was also in the middle of a larger series. This is book 7, Taken by a Dragon. Yes, it is a series by Felicity Heaton. It's on Kindle. It's also a Fated Mate, 222 pages. Took me 4 hours. It's not bad. It's an entry into a larger series. Large part is dedicated to characters and struggles from earlier volumes, and it is kind of fluffy. The initial meet cute, though, between the main characters, though, is very good. I actually had, just going in first couple of chapters, I was really, really hooked. I just wished for more, and maybe if I had continued or started the series, I would have felt differently, but that's not how I roll. I want to, if it's a single volume in a larger series, then, well, whatever. So that was my month. That was the month of January. And, yeah, so again, we're going to have a discussion on the 24th about our book club choices. I just finished one. It was very good. I'm not going to go into it. We're going to have a larger discussion on the 24th. So I'd love for you guys to join us. Again, we have the 2 books. It is Bewitching Her Monsters and Pestilence. If you've read these already, join the discussion. We'd love to hear about what you thought about them. But if you haven't yet, get ready. 24th is coming up soon. And like I said, it's the 6th. And I totally cut my own audio off. So we are excited to have everybody join us on the 24th to discuss Pestilence and Bewitching Her Monsters. Please like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell button, share a comment. We're always interested in any suggestions for reads, and we'll see you next time.